Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, run it back. Run it up, then run it back.
Happy Monday. Hello, gentlemen. Did we have fabulous weekends? Chandler, you first. Go.
Had a great weekend. Great weekends with the kids a lot. Little Valentine's Day, All-Star Weekend. It was fun.
Yeah, you seem very high energy.
Sensational weekend. Can't complain.
Wow.
Well,
Okay, here we go. He sounds like he
Nah.
actually had a good one. You sound dead. So this is two different things going on here. Good news is we really have one giant thing to react to. And of course it was All-Star Weekend live from San Francisco. A lot to get to. Let's start with the games themselves. Team Kenny, Team SHAQ. The Global Stars, after beating Kenny's Young Stars, 41-32. No Ant for the Young Stars. SGA with 12. Wemby with 6-4. A block and a steal. Hero with 6. Mobley with 6. This was like a mini taste of USA versus the world. So in that rendition, the world won. The 40-point limit, maybe we'll start there. Chandler, what did you make of sort of the format of the 40?
It's a little quick. It's a little short. I'll give them credit for trying anything to make this weekend better, to make it more competitive. Obviously, there's a lot of negative reactions to the entire weekend still, and I don't know that they'll just be able to figure this out to make this game more competitive. At the end of the day, is guys are making way too much money. They already have all the recognition, all the fame, all the clout that they could possibly ever imagine. This weekend doesn't move the needle for them, regardless of the format or the amount of points the game's to, or the timing, or the team split up. It really doesn't matter. So they're kind of in a bind here. I respect them for trying to figure this out, trying to tweak it and make different formats to make it more competitive. And there were some exciting plays and there were some, exciting moments of the weekend, but the 40 points, it's a little quick. It just feels like I'm watching more commercial than live game. There's too much hoopla in between for guys to have to stay loose and to stay warm. I think they need to extend it maybe a little bit longer, but not the biggest fan, to be honest with you.
Okay. All right, Lou. The 40 points did seem to go by quickly.
Too quickly. I hated it. I hated the idea from the beginning. We've seen real games where you've seen 35, 40-point quarters. That's one quarter of basketball. So what do you think you're going to get in an all-star style format going to 40 points where nobody is playing defense? You're going to get a very quick product. And that's what we got. I was sympathetic to some of those guys that lost in that first game that were legit all-stars. You prepare for your whole life or this season, and you put so much work in to get 8 minutes of basketball in. We barely even recognized Jalen Brunson as an all-star this year, Tyler Hero as an all-star, Evan Mobley as an all-star. These are young guys who have been working all their lives to get to this moment, get to this opportunity to compete in an all-star game format of a weekend. And boom, like that, your weekend is over, and we're moving on to the next two teams. And so I think, contrary to a lot of beliefs, I feel like the weekend has a lot of good bones to it. There can be some things that they can clean up that can make it worthwhile again. But this was the start of it. But the 40-point thing, I think, should be the biggest thing that they recognize and try to figure out. 40 is just not enough. Kick that up to 65. Kick it up to 65 or 70, allow these guys to actually compete, because the games didn't even start getting a little fun and competitive until they got to 28 to 30 points. And, if anybody knows, in the NBA, that's 3-4 more possessions of basketball in an all-star game format, going to 40 points. And so that part was a little weird to me, and that's why they had so many fillers. That's why they had so much other extra things going on. But the talking, the skits, and all of this, you got to fill up that time, and you didn't have enough focus on the basketball part. So took a small step back this weekend, but I still feel like there's things that they can correct to bring this thing back.
And you mentioned a good point. You mentioned a good point, Lou, about like the players, right? Like Sengun went to All-Star Weekend to play like 6 minutes. Like Evan Mobley
didn't play much.
He's worked his whole life to make an all-star game, and you go and you play like 6 to 8 minutes of live actual basketball. So I think that was a problem for them where you're right. We didn't really talk about the guys. We didn't showcase each player and the season they're having because there was never really a flow of a game back and forth where we can talk about what's going on in their regular season. It was more like entertainment. It was more, I'm looking at this thing right here. There was 2 hours and 26 minutes of commercials and breaks. There was 33 minutes and 41 seconds of basketball. Like that's whack. Like that's tough. No one wants to watch that. And I get it. This weekend is for fans. This weekend is for kids to go and see all the best players in the world on the court, maybe get a picture with them and some autographs, which that's still possible. And that's what it's all about. And I love that. But the product has just gone real stale.
Well, we probably could fit in a couple more weird Kevin Hart moments. 20 to 30 more minutes of that would probably help the entire product out. Good God, that got weird. Wemby, though, as we've now grown accustomed to, does not take things lightly, especially not his first All-Star games. Here he is, just basically the most physically imposing player on the floor, and he's doing all the things you would do in a normal game. So the over-under that we're going to put at All-Star MVPs for Wemby, Lou, is 3.5. The record is 4 with Kobe and Bob Pettit. What do you got? Over-under.
MVPs, who knows? But I know one thing for sure. There won't be very many more All-Star weekends that won't involve Wembanyama. I mean, like, he's going to be one of these young guys that's going to fly the flag internationally as well as being on the floor, you know, to represent the NBA. But it was great to see. Like, again, we talk about these young guys having those moments, having that special opportunity, knowing that the world is watching you. Everybody is paying attention to All-Star Weekend. This is like a great coming out party for a lot of these young guys. He was able to showcase. He was able to be on that big stage and to be celebrated. So that's why I said I'm sympathetic to some of these other young guys that are in the same position that he's in, with trying to get that global recognition, trying to get that real feeling of being there in All-Star Weekend and having all of those eyes on you, you know. So how many MVPs he'll get, who knows? You know, at this point, we don't even know if these guys are going to play long enough or the stats are going to be significant enough to even recognize MVPs and how this thing was going. You know, he had 6 points last night. I think that was the stat. I think Steph Curry
4 rebounds.
Yeah, like a lot of these guys that we're used to having these big numbers in All-Star games, you know, they had 6 to 8 points. And so that part has to be cleaned up for us to even consider anybody having 3 to 4 MVPs moving forward with how this All-Star weekend is going.
So
if I had to pick, I would pick the over. But again, like Lou's saying, we don't know where this game is going. But I will say, just watching this last night, he played the hardest by far. This dude was sprinting back on defense. The play Cade kind of got him with a hezzy and had the reverse dunk. He still like he was playing hard. Like, he didn't care about, you know, obviously he didn't want to hurt anybody or didn't want to, you know, he wanted to do the right thing, but he was playing hard. He was attacking the rim. The funniest thing was him watching him literally sprint back on defense. There's 4 guys going offense. He's the only one getting back. So again, he's young. This is his first time. He was probably excited, but I think this is just who this dude is. And whenever he's on the floor, he wants to compete. He wants to play. Trae Young looked great a little bit in the beginning. Kyrie Irving played defense 1 possession at the end of that little championship game. Besides that, no one played even close to as hard as Wemby did.
I mean, look, Wemby said he's young. He's going to sprint. He told you all that. He was mic'd up. There's also a moment between he and Jokic before this game that's pretty good. Here it is.
You really wrote a book? Yeah. I read before every game. Is that this crazy? So like I brought.
Okay. Now, I love this for a few reasons, guys. So I want to hear what you think first, Chandler. I mean, the fact that Jokic is now finding someone else to mock is awesome. Do you love it?
If this was anybody else other than Wemby, I would think they're doing it for likes, clicks, attention. Yeah, I believe him. He does this every regular season game. He does this every preseason game. I feel like he does this at practice. So this is not a bit. This is not a joke. Wemby likes to read. This is what calms him down. A lot of guys have their own pregame situations with stretching and, you know, weight room and their iPad watching film. He reads. It wasn't my thing, and I never really had a teammate that did
what?
it. Yeah. It's not my cup of tea, Michelle, but I believe him. I think this is who he is. I think this is what calms his whole situation down before competing.
I love it.
Lou.
I love it.
Yeah.
I've played against a lot of different guys with different pregame routines, whether you're going to read or some guys go to chapel, some guys go to church, Some guys like to be locked in. I know guys that take a shower right before the game. You got massages. You got so many different things going on. Different guys having before pregame to get them amped up. You know, maybe this calms him. Maybe this takes his mind off of some anxiety or things of that nature. I'm just guessing. Who knows? But he ain't the only one that's reading before games or after games or things of that nature. So it was cool to see those two guys interact and have some fun, in which we usually wouldn't see besides an All-Star weekend.
I'm buying this
Right?
more than the AJ Brown at
I was going to say.
I'm buying this a lot more than that.
He should shout out the books he's reading, because that AJ Brown moment like sent that guy's thing into New York Times bestseller list for like 1 million times over what it sold before. I also love it because normally Jokic would be like in a corner somewhere with his phone checking out horse races, and all of a sudden it's like the tables have turned. He now has found someone that he gets to mock for their sort of curricular passions. Hard for me to say.
Hey, Beadle, it was a lot of downtime. They got to do something.
There was so much down. I know. We're gonna get to all that. It was a lot, and I love the idea of changes, but my goodness, there was a lot of downtime. What's the weirdest thing? You said shower, massages, chapel. Like, is there something really weird that stands out that somebody used to do pregame for either one of you?
I mean, like Lou said, I had someone call their kids like right before. Like, that's not weird, but it's kind of nice. It's different. Like, you would FaceTime your kids right before you go out. It's like Lou said, there's always like a chapel that's for both teams to kind of go to. So it's funny, you're about to compete somebody, but then there's like a room set up for chapel. Usually with 60 minutes on the clock, teams like have a team meeting and film and kind of going over personnel, but I've never really seen the book. I haven't.
I love it.
I haven't seen the book one, but I've seen guys recently. I haven't seen that, but I've seen guys hit the smelling salts, get them going, hit the smelling salt. I've seen guys literally take a shower, like it's their thing to take a shower right before we're running out on the court. I've seen guys like their thing was to be intentionally late coming out to the court because they needed a moment to themselves before they came out for warm-ups with the rest of the team. So you see a lot of quirky things going on around the league. But with all of those things, I'm glad to see somebody just get centered in a book. I'm just going to read a few chapters, and this is how I'm going to center myself. So.
Love it. He's a different dude, and I like it. The other game was the Team SHAQ, Team Candace matchup. Of course, the OGs and the Rising Stars. This one was easy for the OGs, 42-35. Although there was a game here for a little while, and it got a little scary because it seemed like the OGs were messing around. No LeBron here. Dame with 9, Curry with 8, 6 rebounds. Jaylen Brown finished with 8. Lou, they were sort of talking it while they were announcing it too. They were kind of messing around as if the OGs wanted the most perfect, dramatic final shot to end this game. And in the meantime, the young guys were starting to catch up. Do you think they started to feel the pressure?
They were never under pressure.
Come on, yes, they were.
No, they were not. You saw it. When the game was at 28-28, they go on a 6-0 run in 10 seconds. Like, they were never under pressure, to the fact of, like you just said, they had a game winner. They had 39 points. And they took 6 to 7 shots that they wanted to take. Nobody made them take a shot. They took the shots that they wanted to take. At any time, any 5 of those guys that were on the floor could have easily went and laid or dunked the basketball at will. So these guys were never under pressure. As much as everybody were kind of rooting for the Rising Stars to make this interesting or kind of knock them off, because that was the only way this was going to turn into an exciting part of the evening, that was it. And they never were under distress, never were. Every time the young guys made a shot, they went up 1 point or 2 points or 3 points, the OGs, they just went on a 6-0 run or 8-0 run, and they just kept it close enough to at least that the fans that were there were entertained at some point of the evening, but they were never under distress or pressure. Be clear, never.
I felt like it was close for a while, and then Curry wanted that. I think they wanted a
There's
dramatic
a difference between
three.
Close and pressure. It's a big difference between close and pressure. Was it close? Sure, but when it got close to the time where it was really an opportunity for them to go ahead and take off, that's what they did. They went and got a 6-point lead, going to 40 points, and they were never under distress.
Okay, so fine. Then let's concentrate on the close part, Draymond, because for almost the entire pregame, there was like 2 hours of it. Draymond Green was very adamant that this is ridiculous, that the Rising Stars have no place in All-Star Weekend. Quote, they don't deserve the privilege of playing on Sunday.
1,000%.
How'd you feel about those comments? Chandler, why?
Well, I think he's right. I hated his delivery. I hated his negative approach the whole weekend. I thought it was out of line. I thought it was a little disrespectful to the kind of the rising stars future of the league. But he's right. You go to All-Star Weekend to see the mega stars. You go to All-Star Weekend to see the guys whose kids' jerseys you're wearing. And no disrespect and no offense to these young dudes in their first couple of years. You don't want to see them play during All-Star. You want to see the Lucas. You want to see who's not even there. Oddly enough. You want to see the LeBron who didn't play. You want to see these main guys, the Steph Currys, not the rising stars. So I think it's an awesome opportunity for these guys to get there. It reminds me a lot of like the select team playing against the Olympic team. Like, is there pressure for the Olympians to win? No, but Dame even said afterwards, look, we don't want to be the team to lose to those young cats. Like there's definitely, and I understand the thought process of maybe this brings it out of these vets. Maybe this brings it out that they don't want to have the embarrassment element, but at the end of the day, Draymond, he is right. Like I said, this isn't. I didn't want to watch this. I don't want to watch those guys during the regular season, let alone All-Star Weekend. So I understand where he's coming from, but I also do, like, if I was a rising star, I think it's so dope that I get to play against these legends and these OGs, and like I think it would be so special, and I would take advantage of that. And I would play hard. You see the kid Dunn from Phoenix was playing so hard, he fouled the hell out of KD at the end of the game. Like. The process behind of why they did it makes sense, and Draymond's feelings about they don't deserve to be there, and you work your whole life to be an all-star. Why do these kids get to play? You know what I mean? That also makes sense. I just didn't really like the delivery of it.
Well,
we can agree there. Yeah, I was about to say we can agree there. Didn't love the delivery, especially coming from an OG like Draymond, and these young guys. They look up to guys like Draymond and the rest of the All-Stars. So sometimes their words can cut those young guys, especially when you're working just as hard to feel like you're getting somewhere in your career. But I also agree with the sentiment of they didn't deserve to be there on a Sunday. Like, think about it. Some of these young guys won't legitimately make an all-star team. Like, some of them won't. So to have them be a part of your main event on Sunday night, for them to be out there with the KDs and the Steph Currys of the world, it's guys that were on the bubble that didn't get that opportunity, that surpassed rising stars. You think LaMelo Ball didn't want to be out there? Was he not more deserving of some of these guys? Like, that's where that's where it kind of got a gray area for me with involving the rising stars. But Charles Barkley made a great point as well. Their generation have to take some responsibility in these guys even being involved in the first place. And so later on in the show, I have an idea of how we can kind of clean that part up. But I agree with Draymond 1,000% that it felt kind of funny once they were introducing these guys to be a part of this event. And to have them moving forward to be a part of it. I think that part is a little weird because there's so many guys that are in that gray area, in that in-between, in that bubble space, that are more deserving to be a part of that event before some of your rising stars.
And I'd rather them even just take off the game minimum to be, to qualify to play. Like, think about it. There's guys like John Morant and Luka that didn't reach the threshold of games to even get into the game. I'd rather watch them play still than the rising stars. Like, I'd rather watch Sabonis and LaMelo Ball than these other guys that that are considered the all-star snubs. Like, Devin Booker didn't play this weekend and All-Star Weekend, but like Zach Edey did. He could
have if LeBron would have not waited till the last second. We'll get to that. But LeBron also didn't help anybody out. And secondly, here's what I think people want. Because as a fan, just sitting on my couch listening to Draymond, yes, the delivery is always very negative, and that's sort of part of his brand. But the lack of self-awareness on why these changes were adamant and needed to be made, or at least try to embarrass some of these veterans into playing harder so that they don't get beaten on national television by a bunch of kids, is only happening because of them not giving two damns. That's why we're here in the first place. So there's no self-awareness on why these changes were happening. Did it work? I don't know. Probably not. But we wouldn't have to make these changes because apparently just asking everybody to try harder every single year isn't getting the job done. So, like, I don't mind if Draymond wants to say it sucks, but you got to say why we're here.
Yeah, and the only reason we're here, Michelle, is because the game sucks. The weekend sucks. So they are trying anything and everything to spice it up. So again, this isn't the rising stars' fault. This is an awesome opportunity for them. They're just happy to be there. They know that. They know they're not all stars. They know they're just filling a hole here that's trying to make it more interesting. So again, like you guys mentioned, like Charles Barkley said it best, like, these dudes are the one that kind of drove this weekend into the ground by not playing hard and not even competing the slightest. So we have to make changes like this.
Yeah, but I think everybody shares the responsibility, that from the players to the league. You know, the league made it too much of a entertainment ball. We forgot about the basketball part. We forgot that All-Star Weekend, what makes it special is it's supposed to be the biggest and the best pickup game that you've ever seen in the world. But we turned it into an event where the entertainers are more important than the basketball aspect of it. So everybody should share some responsibility in where All-Star Weekend has gone. The great part about it is people are complaining. There's a lot of engagement. There's a lot of people talking about it. So they still care. The fans still care. The entertainers that are there, they still care. The players still care. Everybody still wants to be involved. Now we got to figure out a way to push this thing forward where it's innovative, where it makes sense, opposed to just being innovative to be loud and gaudy and not have a lot of substance. Last night didn't have a lot of substance, but if you add the substance, I think you get a pretty good product if you can get back to the center of it all. Let's make this thing somewhat competitive. Let's not make everything about money no more. Like, the money isn't going to get some of these guys out of bed. That's out. They're making $1 trillion at this point. Let's make it about pride again. Let's make it about the fans. Let's make it about the fan experience. And if we can center our attention on those things, on those values, I think we can get a better All-Star Weekend moving forward.
Okay, so there's a tweet that there's a few tweets that went viral last night, but this one was an idea. Rather than having the rising stars, it was to swap them out with the 8 dudes that were next up in the voting, which would be the all-snub team, the LaMelos of the world, if you will. They don't get the all-star accolade, but if they win that first round matchup, then they get it added to the resume, and the team they beat loses it. Now we're talking. By the way, before you go, that's crazy. Damian Lillard actually co-signed it, said, "I'm here for all the chaos." Now, it's funny in games to say that. Okay, Lou, because I was going to ask you, saying you're for it is one thing, but if it actually were to happen, do you think players would be down with it? Because taking away your all-star resume moment?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it the all-star snub team. I still would recognize these guys. Call it a bubble team or whatever. I like some chaos, and that way you'll get the competitive nature out of it, because now guys have a chip on their shoulder. You get some chaos, you get some controversy, you get something to talk about. And if you really want to spice it up and add some of these young guys, you want some of the rising stars to be involved, add the rising stars MVP to that roster. Add the young guy that's going to be the MVP.
Steph.
Add him to that roster. That way, now you have your 24 young guys in the Rising Stars game. Now they're playing hard as well. So now you're doubling down on having a great Sunday night. Now you're doubling down on having a great Friday night if you want these young guys to be involved in what is going on. So I feel like there's a lot of different innovative ways that you can make this thing happen, and a lot of people are throwing ideas around. So I like this one. Create a team where you got some of these guys that were right there, the LaMelo Balls. I even go as far as a Jamal Murray, somebody that hasn't had an opportunity to compete in All-Star Weekend. Before Trae Young was added as an injury reserve. These guys really want to be there, and they deserve to be there, and they have fan bases, and they have national and international recognition where fans would appreciate it, opposed to these young guys. So I'm down for it.
And you know what? You're creating a team. You're creating a team where they have something to prove. They're pissed off. They think they should have been in the first place. So again, this gives them that extra motivation to compete. They're not a rising star. They like LaMelo Ball thinks he's an equal to Damian Lillard. Like Sabonis and Fox and these guys that got snubbed, they don't think they're less basketball players. They just think they got snubbed. So put Devin Booker in this game going up against these all-stars. Yeah, now I think we got some juices flowing. Now I think we got something to prove. I think, and we can kind of create this All-Star Weekend is the big stage for this to happen. And Rising Stars is a cool opportunity. I played in the Rising Stars game. That's a Friday night. That's a Friday night situation. That's not the headliner. So I agree with that. Like those guys shouldn't be on Sunday night. That is the main event. That is the prime time. Don't put them on that. But now you're creating this team where these guys are pissed off. They're the snubs. Again, I don't like calling them the snubs because they're
How about the almosts or should have beens?
I'm sure somebody in the office will create a better term for it, but you don't want to be on the snub team, but I'm sure they'll create something where you feel involved, like you feel like you're a part of it.
If part of it's poking the hornet's nest, calling them snubs might make it even better because now they really are irritated.
And again, this weekend is about fans, right? And those guys that got snubbed, they have more fans than the rising star. So that already creates more buzz, more attention, more tickets being sold because more people want to watch Devin Booker in an All-Star game than a rising star. Their time is going to come. That's why they're called a rising star. They're not a current star. I like this idea.
I do too. I think that was one of the best ideas I've seen. We're going to take a quick break. Well, go ahead.
I'll say it on the other side.
Okay, good. Keep it. We're going to come back on the other side. There's a lot more to get to on Run It Back.
Run it back, run it up, run it back,
And the championship game, of course, was SHAQ and SHAQ, those two teams. The OGs, the global stars. The OGs won this one, 41-25. Tatum with 15, Curry with 12, 4 3-pointers, 4 rebounds, 2 steals. He was the game MVP. Wemby finished with 11 and was not happy about this loss. It's the game I think most of us were waiting for. We're hoping we were going to get this one. Curry wins the All-Star MVP. Everyone, maybe minus Tatum, goes home happy. Chandler, thoughts on the finale?
It
wasn't close.
It was entertaining. Like it was a kind of an ass whooping early. It was 11-0, and then there's a timeout. There was a long break, like in between again before the second segment of the game. I think that's also an issue with this weekend is there's so much time in between, and these guys are older, like staying loose, keeping their bodies warm. That brings in a whole other element of fear of getting hurt. It's got to be longer. I think the game has to be longer. There's got to be more basketball, less hoopla, less commercial, less entertainment, less filler, more basketball. Like this is the best players in the world, and actually worked out too. We kind of got the two best teams, right? That's what we wanted. And it still wasn't it. I like it's a cool concept. And again, I respect the effort here, but it's not the solution to me. I don't think the format is going to stick. There's zero intensity. There's zero defense. There is more competitive basketball game and Rico Hines summer pickup games at UCLA. There are All-Star weekend. And it's not even close, by the way. Like dudes will go at it in the summer. They're trying to get in shape. There's a motive. There's something that they're actually playing for. You're not playing for anything in this game. And think about the history of the All-Star game MVPs too. Like Steph Curry had 8 points and 12 points. He had 20 points and won an All-Star game MVP. Like, what are we doing? Dude score 35, 45, 50 points, like 20 points for an All-Star game MVP. Like what?
Lou, let me ask you that because we were in the thread last night and I wasn't trying to be sarcastic. I never left my couch. I had this thing on all night long. And yet we're 11 points into this game, I think 11-ish. And there's this long, massive break, like a ceremony for TNT, which fine. But I legitimately thought I blacked out and that I missed the ending of the game because that's how long this break was. And there was no real sense to like when the break was taken, Lou. It just felt like it just stopped everything. Any momentum that could have been built, gone.
Yeah. Not enough basketball. Plain and simple. It just wasn't enough basketball to fill up the time. You have to do something to stay on air. You have to do things to keep people engaged that are in the arena. And again, like we keep talking about the players and how much responsibility they should take for where the weekend has gone. We got to talk to the league as well. We got to talk to the powers that be. Like we got to get this thing centered back on the players. This is a celebration of the NBA All-Stars. This is their weekend to be celebrated. This is the Rising Stars weekend. This is the three-point contestants weekend, the dunk contest contestants, the skill competition. All of these guys are to be celebrated. I think we took our focus off of the basketball this weekend and we did a lot for entertainment. You know, Kevin Hart was on screen 3 times as much as the players, and that's deserved in his world of comedy. He's a great asset to what we're doing, to be added to what we're doing. I feel like him and the inside the NBA guys, it was more so about them on Sunday night more than the players. But I think that starts with the 40-point thing. Like, how long do you plan on having these guys play basketball when they're only going to 40 points, when they can do that in a matter of minutes, as they proved last night? So you got to figure that part out, maybe put a clock back on it where we're focused on the basketball, and that's the center of the attention.
Well, it's such a good point. I'm thinking like Evan Mobley, Sengun, these guys that they dreamed of All-Star Weekend, and this was more about like SHAQ and Chuck and the TNT guys, which by the way, they're great. I love them. Kevin Hart's on the screen more than Jalen Brunson. Like it was not about the all-stars. It was not about the competitive basketball all-star best players in the world. It was more about the Bay Area musicians and legends.
I like that.
How
about Mr. Beast? Somebody that calls himself Mr. Beast was on the screen more than
whole bit with the kid making the shots against it. That was shown more than all-stars that are having career years. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Check this out, Chandler and Beadle as well. Like, you saw Jaylen Brown visibly upset. Like, let's play. You saw SGA visibly upset. Like, y'all want us to compete? Like, get everybody off the floor. Like, let us get this thing going. And so again, there's just a lot of gray areas. We are in an adjustment period with a lot of things, dealing with the basketball, dealing with what we're trying to accomplish as a league as a whole. We're in this weird gray area. But again, I'm encouraged to feel like at least the innovation is there. At least there are efforts to try to get this thing to a place of where it's different, it's new, and it's fresh for the fans. But the fans have spoken. They want more basketball. They want more competitive basketball. So instead of trying to reinvent and rewrite the rules, let's listen to the people that we care about the most, which are the fans.
And you know what's going to happen, Lou? It's like guys like SGA who are in the hunt for a championship, Brown and Tatum, they're just not going to go. Like they're going to take their all-star. It's going to go on their resume, and something's going to come up, or an injury is going to happen, and they're just not going to go. It's not worth it, right? If they're not going to figure out a way to make it competitive, make it more about them, highlight them. These are all-stars. And you know how hard it is to be an NBA all-star? Why are we not showcasing that more? Like, why don't I know more about Evan Mobley today than I did Thursday before All-Star Weekend? Like, we should have been putting them on the pedestal. We should have been talking about them more. I know nothing new about Sengun. I know nothing new about his game. I didn't get to see him hoop. I know nothing new about this guy. And this dude's an NBA all-star. Like, give him his flowers. He's the reason that we're there. He's the reason that we're watching. He's the reason that we're talking about it. And we gave them no attention or love.
Yeah. And another thing, like, I'll say something that you guys may not agree with. I have zero criticisms for LeBron James sitting this thing out. Now, could he have done this earlier and allowed somebody else to have their spot? Sure. But if I'm a 21-year veteran and I'm LeBron James and I get there and I'm like, you know what? I'm not about to play against the rising stars. Like, that's not what I'm about to do. In some arena, Chandler, whether you, me, whoever, we're LeBron James in our communities, right? Like, so if I'm in Atlanta and I'm playing in the Pro-Am in the summer and they're telling me that they put together a all high school team to play against me, I'm not playing again. I'm not doing this. Like, I'm not doing it.
Hold on, but the timing.
The timing is one thing, but again, if there's a legitimate thing where they're saying the ankle, this and that, I don't know. I'm not gonna fight that part. But what I'm saying is, if I get there, I'm just not gonna do it. Timing, I can agree with you, Beadle. I can go with that.
Then why get there? Then just because you want to have it on the resume, just tell him you're hurt and don't go and let someone else get up there.
Well, no, cause that'll be a whole nother conversation if he don't go. If he don't go at all, we're gonna say, well, why wasn't he there? Like Luka wasn't there, but nobody's talking about Luka. The difference between Luka and LeBron James is it's LeBron James. So no matter whether he goes, whether he doesn't go, there's gonna be something to say. He has a different standard than everybody else, and it's earned. But again, if we're talking about the basketball part of it, I'm not playing against these young guys. I deserve more than that. I deserve more than to have that. And now, is that a selfish? Is that kind of a selfish only way to think about it? Sure. But if I'm LeBron James, like, drop Kobe Bryant in his position, drop Michael Jordan.
But he knew the format. Before yesterday.
Drop Michael Jordan in this position, drop Kobe Bryant, and can you imagine Michael Jordan being on the floor with them guys? He's not going to do it.
No, but I don't think he would go because he's not passive aggressive.
Here's the problem I have, and it's with what we're talking about this in particular with LeBron James not wanting to play against rising stars. All these other NBA players have to play against his son because LeBron has kind of put him in that situation. Who's a rising star? So what's the difference now? He doesn't want to play. He doesn't want to play against the young guys, but
completely different.
How's it different? Because those kids deserve to be there.
Why is it different? Like, why is it different?
What is he taking away from? What is he taking away from anybody? He's not taking away from anybody.
He took away an all-star. He took away an all-star from like Sabonis that should have been there. Knowing he was.
Well, you mentioned Bronny. Bronny's not taking away.
I'm saying about the rising star situation. The rising star situation.
He wasn't a part of it. Yeah. So you're saying that his son is playing. Go ahead.
Chandler's saying like that the league and players in the league have basically been forced to indulge LeBron's family dream and to have Bronny be there, which is fine. We've accepted it. It is what it is. But he couldn't be bothered to give anybody a heads up notice more than 30 minutes before the game starts so that somebody else could have been there. And if it is in fact because you didn't want to play against the rising stars, then that's a little hypocritical.
So again, you have a team of rising stars. If LeBron James sits out, who's going to replace him? All of the guys that were going to replace him are in the game. Trae Young was in the game. Like the only person that was left on the bubble was LaMelo Ball. That's it. Other than that,
so you think his ankle and foot thing started 20 minutes before the game started, or do you think he's had a few days with heads up?
So again, he has a different standard than everybody else because Luka wasn't there at all. But we don't even speak about that. He has a different standard than everybody else. So I can appreciate the fact that you even showed up to this. You even showed up, because I wouldn't have showed up. Like, again, like you just said, Michael Jordan wouldn't have showed up. Kobe Bryant wouldn't have showed up. But we still seen him on the screen. We still seen him there. We still seen him participate in however fashion that he did it, whether he kept his street clothes on in the team picture or whatever, he was there. And we're saying the two other guys that would be in his position wouldn't have even been in the building. So what is the criticism? Like somebody else could have got a spot that 8 rising stars got?
Yes.
What?
I think that this ankle has been lingering for a while. Just look at he's been on the injury report for a game time decision, the games leading up. So you kind of knew it was a possibility that you weren't going to play. So I think it's just can be viewed as selfish that, you didn't want someone else to replace you. And the rising stars thing, would he have played if they put Bronny James in the game, Lou, you think?
100%.
100%. 1,000%. But again, we're nitpicking at somebody that is always going to be the head of the snake when it comes to criticism and how these things go. Like, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't with this guy. It doesn't matter. So again,
but
go ahead.
Didn't we kill Giannis last year when he was clearly hurt, but he put himself in for like 20 seconds and people were mad that he wasted a spot?
I've actually missed an all-star game like this. Like Jimmy Butler got named the last person to the all-star game just to wait a day before to say he's not going to play when I was a bubble guy, when I was one of those guys that would have got that spot. These things happen. These guys do this. So is there a scenario where he could have set out, like, who are they going to scramble up? Who are they going to scramble up during the week?
But Lou, my point is that Giannis knew he wasn't going to play. So Giannis had a replacement named a week ago, but Giannis was still there to be a part of the All-Star weekend and have fun, yada, yada. That's all we're asking is why wouldn't LeBron have said this on Thursday? What?
Right, but we're saying, Lou, he could have said,
we're nitpicking. Like, he just missed the game on Wednesday with the same ankle and foot, same one. So you can be a game time decision on All-Star Weekend just as much as any time in the season. You can be that. You can be a game time decision.
I'd rather him just be selfless and be like, guys, I'm not going to play. I'll still go.
I can't do it.
Put Devin Booker in the game. You know what I mean? Do that a week ago.
Right, but which one of these? Who are you going to scramble up in 3 days that have already made plans to do whatever they're going to do?
Anybody who wants to that's available that's next up. Anybody.
Even if you look at Trae Young's podcast,
LaMelo was there. LaMelo was there.
He was there for his brother.
Yeah, but if you would have told him on Friday, hey, dude, LeBron looks like he's not going to be able to go. Do you want to step up? Give him the option.
But now you don't. And you guys know as well as anything, there's production, there's everything that goes into these things. And if you look at Trae Young's podcast, he even said, I had a conversation with my little brother. Do you want me to go? Because we've made other plans. We plan to do something different. So again, like for me, it's just damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's LeBron James, so we're going to find something to nitpick. And some of these other guys, they'll get a pass and not have that standard. But again,
that's where I think you're wrong.
Well, what about Ant?
If anybody did, like Anthony Edwards, I think he was just hungover.
Let's talk about it. We're 40 minutes in the show and we haven't mentioned Anthony Edwards.
But again,
I was going to mention Anthony because he had the sore groin, missed it right before tip as well. So yeah, we haven't said one thing about him. Also because they didn't show anything.
I have as much beef with him. I think it's a selfish move. But I also don't think he was hurt leading up to it. LeBron James was on the injury report leading up to the All-Star game. He knew there was a possibility he wasn't going to play. I dead ass just think Anthony Edwards was hungover, like couldn't do it. I don't think he was hurt leading up to the game. And now there's different reports whether it was a cold or what it was his groin. We don't even know why he didn't play.
What does it matter?
Everything.
We all hated the weekend. Who cares who missed it? Like, what is
wow.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. Nobody.
It all
even
matters,
if
Lou.
No, it don't, because we can't say somebody else is being hypocritical and then we complain this whole show about the weekend and then we're starting to talk about people that's missing it and making it, and like if I'm some of these guys, I don't want to be a part of it. I just don't want to be a part of it. So
well, then this goes back to my original thing of just cancel the whole damn thing for 5 years and see if anybody misses it. That was my original idea like 10 years ago. Taking a quick break. When we come back, we had a whole Saturday night that we haven't even gotten to. We'll do that next.
Run it up, then run it back. Yeah.
That's just how it go when you play with the bosses. Oh no, we ain't never taking no losses. Whoa, what more can I say? This the way I'm a smash. All I do is win every day.
Just looked so silly jumping over a car. Yes, this was Saturday night. MCCLUNG, the first player in NBA dunk history to do this thing 3 times in a row. Let's show the jumping over the Kia. Good sponsored placement there, because there's a lot of talk about, well, he jumped over the actual middle of the car. Yeah, that was a big moment, by the way. And then the other one was the reverse jam with a little bit of extra hang time. His poor friend that had to be part of this every single time. Guys, your reactions. Take me through it, Lou.
Watching the highlights, it looked like this was a very exciting Saturday night.
Yeah, slow-mo, it looks real dope.
It looks really cool.
In full disclosure, my daughter had an all-star game of her own, and so I spent the Saturday with her and some of her teammates, and I celebrated them. But I didn't watch a lot of the Saturday night. Again, I feel like this is also a night for the stars to be stars. I love MCCLUNG. I love Castle. I love that these young guys and they had an opportunity to do this. But again, I'm signing up for the star power. So I didn't catch a lot of this. I got to be honest.
What star?
I'll say this, MCCLUNG, like, bravo, because he has brought it back. He was impressive. Now, again, this almost feels like a rising stars dunk contest. This isn't like, it's still the same problem with the game, right? With the format. These aren't the guys people want to see. But with that being said, these dunks are sick. I was actually with Blake Griffin on Saturday night when this was taking place. And we were talking about how he jumped over like the hood of a small Kia. Like, what would he have done differently? And like, this is creative. This is innovative. This is, you think everything's been done before, then this kid pulls something that's been done before and does it better. So like, it was really cool to see. And honestly, he saved it again. He saved the dunk contest again. This was the best part of the weekend. This is way better than the game Sunday. This was way better than the stuff Friday. This is the headline. They should almost put the game Saturday and put the dunk contest Sunday. This was way more entertaining.
By the way, what did Blake say?
Contest to Friday.
Yeah.
Wow. Dang. Just get rid of it. Get rid of everything. Did Blake like it? What did he?
Do the dunk contest Friday and 3-point contest Friday, the game Saturday, and let him leave on Sunday. 3 days is too much.
Okay. I don't hate that.
I think that there's an opportunity to make some things better. The 3-point contest, make it official. Get the W involved. Just make it the best shooters.
Okay.
Don't make it the men versus the women or none of that corny stuff. Just the best shooters shoot. Get Sabrina. Go get Caitlin. Go get Steph. Go get Dame. Go get go get 6 to 8 shooters from the best sides. Allow them to shoot it out. I think that gets the people going. That'll get the crowd going, and you'll grow the game by allowing the ladies to be involved. And speaking of the ladies, they just showed us another way that we can go. Let's make this one-on-one tournament official. Let's put the one-on-one tournament in. I've seen so many guys be asked this weekend about whether they will play in a one-on-one tournament, and a lot of those answers were, I would play. I don't know about anybody else, but I wouldn't play. So if you have 6 to 8 guys that are saying, I would play, then you should do it. And again, don't make this thing about money. Make it the king of the court. King of the court Saturday night. We're going to play ones. A lot of these guys play ones in practice anyway, so I don't want to hear the crap about, well, somebody can get hurt. The only way somebody can get hurt is if it gets competitive. That is it. And if somebody takes a hard foul, and if you do take a hard foul, what's the difference between a hard foul on Saturday and Monday? A hard foul is going to be a hard foul. So do the 3-point contest, allow the ladies to be involved, take their idea with the 101 and do that on your All-Star, and Friday night, do the dunk contest and do the 3-point contest, or do the dunk contest on Friday night with the Rising Stars. And we might be able to pump some new blood in this thing by being innovative in that way and just making it competitive in different ways.
I mean, 2 nights is good. I'm good with 2 nights, Chandler, by the way. And you know what I kept thinking about? And tell me if you guys agree. And I had this conversation. Do you think that if McClung could trade in his 3-peat slam dunk history with being a regular, solid player in the league at any place, does he give that up in a second?
Absolutely.
That's also
Isn't that crazy?
Way more money in his pocket to be a regular NBA player than a 3-time slam dunk contest.
But yet, this is kind of a cool accolade to have. But my question is this too, because before this, they did like Vince Carter's top 10 dunks. Like there were a lot of dunks, old videos shown, and it was very cool. Do you think 5-10 years from now, we will talk about McClung the way we talk about some of these other greats?
Absolutely. Yeah. And guess what, Chandler? He's probably losing money doing the dunk contest at this point because you know he has incentives in his contract to compete in the dunk contest. But the more he wins, the more the odds go down because he's the favorite. So it can go from being a $250,000 incentive to winning to whoever he signed with on his shoe company, where it's going to be $100,000 because you're the favorite. So he's probably losing money by being so good at the dunk contest.
And credit him, like again, he hasn't been able to stick with an NBA team. I don't know his game as well as I maybe should, but
he's only played like a game this year, I think.
He's found his niche. This is what he does, and he's very, very good at it, and he is exciting and he's fun to watch. Now, do I want to see him do this on an NBA floor in a playoff series? Yeah, of course. I'd love to see that. But for now, this is what he's great at, and this is exactly what the dunk contest needs, someone like him.
And guess what?
I think the fact that he put actual solid thought into it. I think that's what stood out, is that he thought about it. He tried new things. To me, it was very telling. But also shout out Steph Castle because he showed up. We'll get to that one on the other side when Run It Back returns.
Run it back, run it up, then run it back, run it up, then run it back.
Well, we got to get to Steph Castle because there are people that thought, including our producer Conrad, that he should have won the dunk contest. So we will play a couple. I mean, he lost by a very small margin, but we will play his dunks as we talk about it. And one of the strikes against McClung would be the use of props. Some like it, some don't. Chandler, how you feeling about what Castle did here?
Yeah, I mean, he was really, really good. And again, I think at this point, everything's kind of been done before. I don't know why he didn't jump over Wemby. Like he had a
I know
prop that was right there that he could have done something. Well, he's right there. So that would have been awesome.
He's doing it with him.
I also like it helps that Stephon Castle is a stud and going to win Rookie of the Year and like a rising star, like real player in the league. So that helps. But I don't think you discredit McClung for using props. I think it's all part of the creativity version of it, but straight up dunks, yeah, like that's so hard to do. That's an insane dunk right here. And he showed out. He did really, really good. The other two guys, I don't want to poop on their parade, but my God,
you can't.
Guy was good.
And also, what is this tease, Lou? What is this tease? Stop, guys. If you're not going to do it, stop.
That's what I was gonna say on the other side. Like, at least he got Giannis and some of these guys to say we're thinking about doing it now. I didn't love the timing of it because it felt like they were trying to kind of steal some of his son and what he got going. But you know, kudos to them. Do it.
Do it. We'll do this again tomorrow.
Run it up, then run it back, yeah. Run it up,